Hello, my name is Robert from mobileburn, and today I'll be looking at the Blackberry Z10 and doing a review of it. So first of all, let me say thank you very much to EE for sending me this. EE are UK's only 4G network at the time of making this video, so thank you very much again for them to sending me this. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the hardware of this device. And the hardware is actually very impressive compared to sort of older generation BlackBerry devices. And it features a 4.2-inch display on the diagonal here, and it has a resolution of 768 by 1280, which is the same resolution as the Nexus 4 has, but because of the smaller size of the display, it actually has a 355 ppi. The processor inside the device is a Qualcomm S4 dual-core processor running at 1.5 gigahertz, and it actually has 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is again the same as the Nexus 4. The GPU is an Adreno 225. On the rear, it has a 8 megapixel camera with 1080p, which shoots 30 frames a second video. The front-facing camera is a 2 megapixel camera with 720p video as well as 30 frames a second, like the rear one. Oops. It has the usual sort of types of connections like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, NFC as well, which is a nice feature that this is included, and also has a 4G radio, because obviously this is available on 4G now in the UK. The storage of the device is a 16 gigabytes as well as a micro SD card to extend the storage of the device. And the battery is an 1800 milliamp hour battery, and this is user replaceable. Now, looking at the device, starting off on the right hand side, you get presented with the volume rocker, and in between the volume rocker is the actual voice command button. So if you long press the voice command button, it actually opens Siri-esque type feature, and also pauses music during playback. The other side has a micro USB charging port as well as a micro HDMI out. And the top of the device has the power button, the 3.5mm headphone jack, and the microphone. And the bottom of the device is clear apart from the tab to pull off the back cover to reveal the internals. So this is the device with the internals revealed, and you can see the battery here. It's a very elongated 1800 milliamp hour battery. It also has the micro SIM card slot here, and then the micro SD card slots further up. And while we're on the back with the cover off, you can also see the NFC chip here, and then you have the 88 megapixel camera here, and then the 2 megapixel camera on the front. And going back to the front, you have the speaker at the top, you have all the sensors at the top as well, and then just a BlackBerry logo. And there are no buttons on this device because it is very touch based and touch gesture based. Build quality wise, this device has a glass screen on the front, and this is sandwiched between two plastic bits. So and the back is also a rubberized sort of textured feel. So it's a really nice feel. Looking at it, it's very iPhone-esque, looking like sort of skinny, but quite narrow and quite tall and skinny looking. The build quality is maybe not up to Apple standards, but it's more than acceptable and more than good enough, and feels nice and solid in your hand. And the button placement is also very nice, that you can access the power button at the top with your index finger, and then with your thumb you can actually access the 3 buttons on the right hand side. Then looking at the BlackBerry OS 10, which is what you see in front of me here, it comes with many improvements, but I think many BlackBerry users will feel very familiar. And I think changing from an iPhone and Android device to this device people will also feel very familiar with the device in terms of the layout and the sort of new improvements that have been made. So first of all, the swipe gestures of this device. If I open, for example, an app like the BlackBerry App World, you simply tap, as you normally do anyway on most smartphones nowadays, and then the gestures are, you can swipe up to close it, but that brings into the multitasking view. You can see here, you can tap the X here to close the app. You can also swipe in from the left to reveal a set of another menu icons. So you can then have the categories, for example, in the app world, like games, applications, music, video, my world. And then also if you swipe in from the top, it actually presents you with other settings like help, downloads, QR code and settings. And so as I already said, this is very, very gesture based, very heavily gesture based, this UI. So nice that this sort of is up to par now with other devices like Android and iOS. Now looking at the home screen, iOS users will feel very familiar with this UI because you get the 4x4 grid and you also get sort of home pages at the bottom. So you have, page number 1, page number 2 and page number 3. And so the gestures that you get on iOS and Android in terms of creating folders and deleting apps as well work just as well on this BlackBerry. So for example, if I was to move icons around, I hold BBM, long press it, and then you can see you can move it around and you can put it into any sort of position you want, and the other apps will reshuffle. But also to create folders, it's simply long press and then drag it onto another app, and then straight away you get presented with this view where you can change the name of the folder. Just to delete an app, for example, if I didn't like Foursquare, I just long press and then a little sort of bin or rubbish bin icon appears and you just tap that and that allows you to delete the app. Now other gestures as well are swiping down from the top. So you swipe down from the notification area and it actually brings you the sort of quick settings, and you get presented with settings. You can do Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, rotation lock, notification sounds and alarm. So it's almost like you get in the Android 4.2.2 quick settings nowadays, where you can just simply swipe down from the top and you get presented with the quick settings. So nice that this has been implemented now, sort of, as soon as you want to turn your Wi-Fi on, or you get into the car and you want your Bluetooth on, that's the way to do it. So really, really nice that this has been implemented. Then another big feature is the BlackBerry Hub. And basically when you're on your home screen, you swipe in from the left and that actually reveals, the latest, box or inbox you've been in. So for example, if I swipe over again from the hub, you get presented with hub, notifications, BBM, text messages, Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, calls, whatever other accounts you have set up. So all your accounts you have set up will be here. So if I had, for example, a Foursquare account set up, it would be here. And then you can change between each individual one, or you can have it showing in the hub at the top. I don't want to go into my hub now because of this has got personal stuff on it, but I can show the notifications where you can sort of swipe up and down, and then you get features at the bottom, which is search, notifications, and also the menu button as well, where you can adjust different settings, like go to the top and stuff, and you just simply swiping up and down, and then also swiping again to the left, which brings you back into the view where you can change between your accounts. Also going back to the home screen, you can see that there is a dock that you get on, like you get on most other phones like Android and iOS. But in this case, these icons are not changeable. So you get your phone icon and your search, as well as your camera icon. And there you cannot drag anything in here to change this. These are always there if you're on your home screen. So unfortunately, it would be nice to that you can maybe add your shortcuts, or something like text messaging into here. That would have been a nice feature to include. Now let's look at another feature that has been improved in BlackBerry 10, and that's the keyboard. So I'm just going to open my reminders here, and I'm just going to show you what the keyboard looks like. So you get presented with this keyboard here, but what the improvements have been made is that if you start typing, for example, it learns the words you write, so it remembers them and then shows you the suggestions. And you also get the numbers down the bottom left, so you can change between numbers and letters. But sometimes if you have, for example, email addresses to type in, the numbers actually appear at the top, so you don't need to change between numbers and symbols and letters. You get them all on the same screen, which is a nice thing. But let me start typing and show you what I mean with the word suggestions that have been introduced with this new keyboard. So you see me starting to type. I just spelled the, and then all of a sudden, let me zoom in, show you that you get presented with these little words that show up above different letters. So for example, if I was to write reason, I click reason and then swipe up. So it needs to be sort of a quick gesture. You swipe up and you can see the word sort of fading. And if I show you that, the first ever, the US, and you can see these are the words I've selected. So nice way of sort of improving your typing and the speed you type at. And then if I was to spell again, you can see here, it allows you to change it. And also this has multi-language support. So some of the words are German. You can see here, nicht for the German speakers means not. or never, depending on which way you look at it, and you can, you know, swipe up and select it. So nice that these different languages have been included in this keyboard. Also works in landscape mode as well. There's no like split keyboard, but because the screen is not large enough, I don't think where you need to have a split keyboard. So it's nice that you can type, and the tactile feel is quite good, and you get sort of a sound feedback where you can turn that off. Then another feature that has been improved on Blackberry 10 is the camera. So let me start the camera and let me get my trusty Android in front of me here, and you can see the camera here. It has 3 different modes where I can shoot different pictures, different things. So you can do video, obviously, as well, 1080p video, and then you can access your gallery as well. But also what it has is this best face feature, which I'll start with now. And it basically takes a burst, like a burst shot. I don't know if you could hear that. It detects faces, and then it lets you choose which face you're going to select. It's difficult to demonstrate now, but say if one of your subjects was blinking, you can sort of go back between different pictures, and it allows you to choose the best one where people have been, say for example, all people have been smiling rather than one sort of, you know, looking away. So Samsung Galaxy S3 has this implemented as well in their camera app. So nice that BlackBerry sort of caught up with this. Then you also get other features like video recording, like I already said, and there isn't really much in terms of menu. You just get you choose between 1080p and 720p, and you can also have stabilization on normal, so you get the sort of optical based stabilization built in, so it sort of helps improve reduce a little bit of shake. But what I like about the camera is that the shutter is almost instantaneous. So if I was to go back into the camera and then just tap his face, you can see how quickly the pictures are being taken. So nice that this is, you know, the sort of zero shutter lag, as they call it nowadays, has been implemented in this BlackBerry as well, because it does, you know, make a difference. If you want to take a quick photo, you don't want to be waiting for ages until the photo gets taken. Now let's have a look at the app world, and this is, I think, what makes or breaks a smartphone manufacturer or smartphone OS. And the BlackBerry app world, you can see already it shows me up with a server error, and unfortunately I've been experiencing this quite a bit. I've logged into my BlackBerry ID, and I've not been able to download any paid apps. I would like to have tried a few games, but unfortunately I can't do it. I don't know whether this is down to the phone or whether this is just because it's a lone unit I cannot access it. But I've seen on the internet many people have had problems with this, and I've tried all the solutions, and it unfortunately hasn't worked. But most of the apps you find here are sort of taken over from previous BlackBerry versions. But I mean, some apps are brand new, like for example you get Asphalt, stuff like that. So again, if I swipe in and show you games, for example, you get Asphalt 7, you get Stickman games, you know, games that have been very popular on other devices like, you know, iOS and Android. But unfortunately some of the other apps don't look as good on this phone as you know you'd expect in 2013, and unfortunately the sort of the App Store is a little bit of a letdown. There are 70,000 apps available, and unfortunately the sort of BlackBerry suffers a little bit like Android suffered at the start in terms of, you know, App Store not being as good as you'd think. But you know, most of the apps you need are there. You know, you know, games and stuff like that is there. If I go over to applications as well, you know, you get iPlayer, you get weather widgets, you know, the sort of standard apps you have. You get, you know, if you're in London, the Tube map, instant messaging, you know, Google Chat, Google Talk, sorry. You also have, you know, map applications as well. So you do get the sort of standard features, but I'm sure there will be more available, you know, in the not so distant future. Now, the last of the smartphone, the last of the BlackBerry OS is the new lock screen, and it's again, you know, like Android, like iOS, you have to swipe up to unlock it, which I'll show you in a minute, but you also get presented with the notification buttons on the side. So you can see here, I apparently have 3 emails and 8 notifications, but unfortunately you cannot go into them by tapping that. So you can, you don't get anything presented, you can't swipe or anything like that. The only thing you can access directly is the camera, and you also get the clock and the date. But the only way to access the screen is by literally swiping up, and you can see a nice sort of animation there. But it would have been nice to have a, you know, sort of accessible from the lock screen, like for example HTC Sense has, or Samsung Galaxy S3 has, where it has the shortcut buttons. You know, it would be nice to be able to maybe customize it, or just access the, you know, your emails or your Facebook feed and stuff like that, rather than having to sort of swipe up, then go into your hub and you know, do all this. Is extra steps that, you know, I don't think are necessary nowadays, especially in 2013. But then that really concludes my look at the BlackBerry Z10. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like the video. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content. If you have any comments, any queries, please leave them down below. And I hope to see you in my next video.